Yeah, look, the enemy always has a vote in what happens, to quote Colin Powell. But I want to move on to this UN report, which has found that Israel's actions in Gaza have reached the level indicating genocide. It adds this: by distorting international humanitarian law, customary rules, including distinction, proportionality and precautions, Israel has de facto treated an entire protected group and its life-sustaining infrastructure as terrorist or terrorist supporting, thus transforming everything and everyone into either a target or collateral damage, hence killable or destroyable. In this way, no Palestinian in Gaza is safe by definition. And here's the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in the occupied Palestinian territories. Listen to this.
The only reasonable inference that can be drawn from the unveiling of this policy is an Israeli state policy of genocidal violence toward the Palestinian people in Gaza.
No one is denying Hamas started this latest escalation. No one is denying they committed the largest massacre of Jews since World War II. But this report is damning, accusing Israel of genocide at an executive level. So Israel is now in the company of countries like Myanmar, Sudan, Bosnia, and groups like ISIS.
Look, this report by Albanese, the special rapporteur, I completely reject it and dismiss it. I think it is blatantly filled with anti-Semitism. And it also, John, does not add up with the facts. The facts is, and they're questionable even, these facts. If the Palestinian Health Ministry, the so-called Palestinian Health Ministry, which we actually know is Hamas, and we know that no one in the world would ever take the Al-Qaeda Health Ministry or the ISIS Health Ministry at face value and accept their numbers. But for some reason, Hamas numbers a terrorist organization that rapes and decapitates women and kidnaps children. They're willing to accept those. But even if we accept those numbers of 30,000, we should accept the numbers that Israel claims of 13,000 of those people killed being terrorists. And then you have a civilian combatant ratio, which is less than 2 to 1. In other words, less than 2 civilians for every combatant killed. And while every loss of civilian life is a tragedy, what Israel has been doing in Gaza and prosecuting this war is, I would venture to say, possibly the most precision and accurate war that has ever been fought in modern military history. The UN itself talks about how in war, in urban settings, the ratio is usually 9 to 1. So I don't expect the world to stand up and applaud what the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, have been doing. But this accusation of genocide is completely baseless, false. And unfortunately, what the UN is doing by making these accusations is giving Hamas a pat on the back, a feeling that they can just continue to lie and continue to fight and spread terror, and that they will ultimately win.
The problem with the figure of 17,000 versus 13,000 combatants, the US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says it's 25,000 civilians, men, women and children, civilians, who've been killed by Israel. So that kind of blows your ratio out of the water in some ways, doesn't it?
I think that none of us really know what the accurate numbers are. And my argument is one that's simple, John. If we all over the world and all over the media are willing to parrot and say what Hamas claims to be a number is a violent, murderous, barbaric terrorist organization, should we not give Israel a free democracy, a rule of law, a place where media and journalists like myself can openly criticize our prime minister and our leadership, something that you can't do anywhere else in the Palestinian territories? Should we not give our media, our government, and our claims a little bit of credit? And I think that if we do that, then the numbers are a little different than these claims of genocide that are being spread viciously around the world by people like that rapporteur at the UN.
Yeah, the number of 25,000 came from the US Defense Secretary. I was just repeating what he said. But Yaakov, I appreciate your perspective, and thank you very much. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you, John.
Take care.